The lamp burns sure within, though serfs supply the oil. It matters not the busy wick at her phosphoric toil. The slave forgets to feel the lamp burns golden on, unconscious that the oil is out, as that the slave is gone. I'm Jericho Brown.
And I'm Breezy Janae, but you can call me Breezy.
This is The Slave is Gone, the show that talks back to AppleTV's Dickinson.
We explore what's historically true, what's emotionally true,
what works for us and what doesn't, in the Apple TV series about Emily Dickinson's coming of age.
And because we're poets who are fascinated by Dickinson's verse, we always bring it back to the poetry. Hey, Breezy.
Hey, Jericho.
So glad we are here to talk about Dickinson, the poet we both love, and this show that has so many people discovering her and rediscovering her.
For sure. So let's get started with this first episode, where Dickinson is writing inspired in her bedroom early in the morning before being interrupted by her sister, Lavinia, who's come to tell Emily their mother wants her to fetch a pail of water. When Emily asks why their brother Austin can't do it, Lavinia reminds her that he's a boy.
Which Emily calls bullshit.
Because it is. Now, of course, Emily's mother is trying to prepare her for a prosperous marriage. And when Emily comes to the kitchen, her mother announces that a suitor is coming to call.
When the suitor, George Gould, arrives, it turns out Emily already knows him from her lit club. She in no way tries to make herself appealing to George, and she tells him when her mother's out of earshot that she cannot marry him because she has literary aspirations and because she loves somebody else.
And not another young man, because that would be too normal, but Death, who she says is sexy.
George tries to win Emily over by promising to get her poem published in the college magazine under her name. Emily knows her father won't like it, but she goes for it, and George goes for it too. He kisses Emily, though she's clearly not feeling it.
We've all been there, I'm sure. This may be because she's in a secret romantic relationship, aka a situationship, with her best friend, Sue Gilbert, who she discovers is engaged to her brother, Austin. The two girls sneak off to the apple orchard, and Emily asks Sue to make two promises. First, that she won't move to Michigan, and second, that she loves her more than her brother. Sue is honest in her response, reminding Emily that her fiancé, as the man, will decide about the move. But of course, Emily doesn't have to worry about her love. They share a passionate kiss as rain comes down.
I was actually really startled by that moment and excited by it.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, she is kissing this girl on TV.
Sue is enjoying herself. She is a free, liberated woman.
I guess I'm just from the South, but she got to do that by having sex with her brother and her sister, though, Breezy.
Because the brother is going to provide for her, and Emily is going to provide for her.
She's getting provided for.
And shouldn't we all be?
Yeah, that's true. I'm probably jealous.
It has been a long quarantine, even though we are out there.
I used to be fast, but I never slept with siblings.
That's fair. That's probably practical.
Are we recording this? Because it's important that people know.
That you haven't done any siblings yet?
Not that I haven't, but that Sue has. And will continue to.
That's right. She's setting it up. She's living the poly dream. It's just a little complicated that they're brother sister, but that's why it's a situationship.
In the next scene at the Dickinson family dinner table, there is big news. Mr. Dickinson, Emily's father, announces that he's running for Congress and that he's building a house for Sue and for Austin.
And Emily tells the family about her poem, which is going to be published in the college newspaper. Mm-hmm. Her father calls this scandalous and tells her she'll ruin the family good name.
We then see Emily in a red dress paying a visit to Death, who's played by Wiz Khalifa. She asks him when he will take her away. He disappoints her by saying it will be a long time, but prophesies that she'll be the only Dickinson remembered in 200 years. I guess Death knows what he's doing. He also says that he'll take away many lives in the Civil War, a war that will divide the nation.
Later that night, Emily and her father reconcile. Lying next to each other in Emily's bed, she promises not to leave him and extracts a promise from him to hire a maid.
The episode ends with her finishing her poem, Because I Could Not Stop for Death. It's interesting to start a show at 4 a.m. because it pretty much lets us know we're going to be there all day, right? We're starting at 4 in the morning and we're going to keep pushing forward. The show makes it very clear early on from jump that it's going to tackle things, but from a contemporary perspective, in spite of the fact that we are set in the 1800s.
Yeah, and I loved the invitation to imagine her writing process, particularly considering the fact that she had to write on those scraps. So what is revision to her? What is sort of the building of a poem when you have to get it down on paper right the first time? I found myself having so much respect for what early writers went through and experienced to make their craft, because you get a line at the well, you don't have any paper. I get a line in the middle of babysitting or in the middle of walking my dog, and just the discipline it would have taken and the attention to calling to hold that line with you and to be keeping it, reciting it, and reworking it in your head as you hauled that water back. Of course, the water was half out of the pails by the time she got back. She had to get back in time before she forgot that line. I love the way the show sort of invites us to think about the writing process, but also the way your time period and your tools shape the way you write.